Arcade Heroes.
Hey everyone, happy October 2019. This is Adam with ArcadeHeroes.com, here for something that is spookier in terms of arcade games and something a little unusual. I've covered this one before, I believe, on the channel as well as on my Game Grid Arcade channel, which is the arcade where I'm at, the arcade that I own and operate. Open for business right now, so hopefully I don't have to cut and run in the middle of the gameplay here. But it's early morning, people usually aren't out playing arcades at 10 in the morning, so hopefully it'll be fine. But in case you've missed it in the past, this is the Spectre Files Deathstalker. It's just, image there was because of the capture card that I'm just loading here. But yeah, the Spectre Files Deathstalker is a game that was originally supposed to be a Laserdisc game, and in fact it was developed by the same guy who did Rampage, right here, that I have next to it. And right before he did Rampage, he was working on Deathstalker, but this got maybe about 98-99% complete, and then Midway canned it, and that's when he came up with the idea for Rampage, and of course that was a big success for the company. But that's Brian Collin, and so he's the CEO of Game Refuge, and he's been doing a lot of video game history tours talking about his developments and other things that he saw at Midway. That's him right there. But this was restored by him and Galloping Ghost Productions. Galloping Ghost Productions, of course, is part of Galloping Ghost Arcade. And Galloping Ghost Arcade has been selling these cabinets, and I'm not sure how many of them are out there. Mine is number 4 of 10. There's a limited edition where in the lower right-hand corner of the screen it'll have the logo of my arcade here occasionally, so that's what was special about it, but I'm sure they would make more than 10 as long as demand was there. But anyway, since it's October and we're creeping up on Halloween, there's a lot of spooky games that have been released over the years to arcades, and this is a great one. Very unusual in terms of arcades. It's almost more like a console game as far as how it works, because there's no continues. You just play and make your choices, and I've played this a number of times and I've not solved the mystery yet, but yeah, we'll see if I get there this time. But I will go with it here, and from now on it'll just be direct capture footage from the machine itself, but I have to record the audio off screen because the audio is not pumped through the HDMI, so it has to be through the camera here, so you'll pick up other stuff from the arcade. But yeah, let me get started here and let's see how I do. Alright, let's get her started.
You learn two things in detective school. First, always keep your files neat and orderly. And second, a case that involves a missing blonde will inevitably drive you to drink. Still, something about this case intrigued me. Besides, I was between clients at the time, and certain bill collectors were starting to get ugly. The papers said she was last seen in Derhatchet Hollow, walking her chihuahua through a nearby graveyard. Not much to go on, but I had to start somewhere.
Ed, there's a gentleman out here to see you that looks like he wants money. You want me to show him in, or do you want to go out the window again?
I will meet the gentleman.
He wanted money, all right,
Thank you, Mr.
but it was
Spectre.
for a good cause.
All proceeds go to the orphanage, and are, of course,
Gotta love the naughty photo in the background behind the priest.
I don't mean to pry, but your secretary mentioned that you might be driving out to Derhatchet Hollow tonight. It's a very evil place. I want you to have this. It may save your life. It's a vial of holy water. $12. Tax deductible?
Have it for $12. Let's have another drink.
I decided to take a few moments to organize my thoughts, so I poured myself another drink and began to read.
So this part was added in by Galloping Ghost and Game Refuge, since again it wasn't 100% complete. Most of the game was finished.
I passed out sometime around midnight.
They had to add in a few things to connect it, but there's actually not a lot of
As I slowly regained consciousness, I was touched by my secretary's concern.
Ed, are you all right?
Poor kid was crazy about me.
Don't you think you ought to start looking for that girl? I mean, I'd like to get paid this week too, you know.
Oh, all right. Let's find Buffy McGuffin.
The Der Hatchet Institute was founded by a Nobel Prize-winning scientist who disappeared in the late 50s, leaving the place deserted for nearly 30 years. I walked up the creaking front steps and turned the knob. Locked.
Look under the mat. Of course, if you don't, you can go around the house and do some exploring.
There was a key that fit the front door under the mat.
Maybe I should have done, I don't know.
The stench was awful. It was like entering a tomb. There were rotting stairs to my right and a room to my left, and I felt a cold chill on the back of my neck. As I ascended the rotting staircase, I began to feel as if I were being followed. From the top of the stairs, I could see a woman below.
As a note, this woman was a artist at Midway, and she's the one responsible for putting the bow on Miss Pac-Man.
Her skin erupted as the water splashed onto her. The stench was awful. The second floor looked dark and uninviting.
Let's go to the nearest room.
My fear faded as I fled. I felt fine till I fell. So I flipped over and found I'd been followed by a fanged femme fatale with a fried finger. I hated to be rude, but sometimes you got no choice. As I stood up, a strange mist started to come in from under the door. The only other door led to a closet.
Let's go to the closet.
I hesitated before entering the closet. Was I a man or a mouse? I decided to give it serious consideration from inside the closet. In the darkness, I became aware of something gnawing on my ankle, so I switched on the lights. Rats!
Turn the light back on, maybe?
I turned on the light and discovered a stairway.
Oh, there we go.
The stairs led to an attic. A trail of green ooze leading off to my left. And in the other direction, piles of old junk near an open window.
I've only been here once before, so I can't remember what I did exactly. Let's see. Follow the slime trail.
The slime led to a glowing crystal sphere next to a rotting, slime-covered pirate chest.
Gaze into the crystal ball.
As I gazed into the sphere, I saw a piece of garlic, followed by a mouth only an orthodontist could love.
Let's examine the pirate chest.
I opened the stinking, rotted pirate chest and discovered, naturally, a stinking, rotted pirate. Knife in one hand, small wooden box in the other.
Let's grab the knife.
I reached for it, but I wasn't quick enough. While I struggled to keep the pirate down, I was also struggling to keep my lunch down, and not doing well in either department.
I had not come across a pirate before. Oh, so hopefully
The moment I touched the box, the pirate started to laugh. Then he shook his head and disappeared.
Oh, okay. Let's close the pirate chest.
I slammed the lid down. Despite the open window, the attic smelled musty. The smell seemed to be coming from a large wooden crate. Then I saw it, and vice versa.
Stand perfectly still.
Whatever it was flew at my head and knocked me to the ground. It looked angry.
Let's try that.
I started for the lantern, but it could fly faster than I could crawl. The last thing I remember was its hot breath on my neck.
That's one health down.
I don't know how long I was out, but someone or something had dragged me to a cellar below Der Hatchet Manor. As I struggled to clear my head, I clicked on my flashlight and looked around. Any fool could see that the place had more than its share of dingbats, and I was no exception.
Alright, done this plenty of times.
It was there, in the cellar, that I discovered the little man with the evil grin.
Doesn't like a lot of these things.
I spoke the count to your arrival. He insists that you stay or give up. Would you like that?
Sure.
He fell for it, so I took the opportunity to bash him in the chops. I never hit a man when he's down, but I knew I should have made an exception when I felt his fingers on my throat.
Remember those old flashlights from the 80s? Flip over backwards. If you fail on this,
I flipped him into his coal bin and ran into the darkness.
Look for a stairway.
I found myself ascending a steep, circular stairway when a green ghoul in a rented tuxedo made a dramatic entrance.
It's rented, you know. Let's make polite small talk.
I approached the zombie reluctantly and asked him who his tailor was. His response was to push me backwards into a rickety old freight elevator.
What floor, please?
let's go to the first floor. Well, I guess surprise me.
First floor, everybody out. Watch the door.
We arrived on the first floor and I got off. I could hear faint piano music coming from somewhere.
Let's go down the hallway. Oh crap, that was the wrong way. Didn't want to go there yet. Oh well.
At the top of the stairs, I saw an ugly dwarf.
This is the master's private property. It's my job to see that it remains private.
Private Eye versus Private Igor, eh? When he moved, I jumped over the railing. It was a long way to the first floor, and Laughing Boy was no help at all.
Grab his shirt.
I grabbed his shirt and he flipped over the railing. The second floor looked dark and uninviting.
Let's find something to eat. Go looking for medical records. I hadn't seen that one before. Guess I should have picked that.
The room I next entered was obviously a library of some sort. There was a door to my left, another dead ahead, but most of the action was taking place in the kitchen on my right, where someone was practicing a bizarre form of culinary preparation.
Let's go to the kitchen.
I couldn't put my finger on it, but there was something odd about the woman in the kitchen.
If you're hungry, get it yourself! There ain't no room service in this hotel!
I think maybe it was her 3-day beard.
One thing you'll notice is you can see breath coming from the actors a lot of the time. And that's because...
Inside the cupboard was a rose, a clove of garlic, and a couple of potatoes.
I'll grab the garlic because I saw that in the crystal ball. But,
I reached in and took the clove of garlic.
Come on now, you're spoiling your appetite!
but yeah, they filmed this in February during one of the coldest winters in Chicago, in the Chicago
I tiptoed
area.
out of the
in a
kitchen
building
and
that
left
had
her
no
to her
heating,
work.
had electrical.
A faint breeze
That's why
carried
you
a
see
musty
their
odor
breath
to my
sometimes.
sensitive nostrils.
Let's peek through the slightly open door.
This room seemed to be a lavatory. There was something odd about it, and then I realized what it was.
Oh crap.
The room smelled like wet dog. Suddenly, I realized that someone was coming up behind me.
Think quickly.
Thinking quickly, I stepped into the shower and pulled the curtain closed. A hairy paw reached in and turned on the water. I peered around the corner and saw a she-wolf busily primping herself for a night on the town.
Done this one before, but I got knocked out, so I can't remember what I did. Wolf whistle?
I listened. She turned and giggled like a schoolgirl. Then she started towards me.
Darn it. Compliment her looks, I guess.
I told her she had lovely hair. I realize now it was the wrong thing to say.
Should have tried the paper. I didn't want to go into the bathroom because that was near where the place
I woke
where
up with the feeling
finds
that I was at the end
woman
of
you're
my
looking
rope.
for.
When I realized that I was fit to be tied. The situation was bad and my life hung in the balance. But this was no time for reflection.
Ah, Mr. Spectre. Did you have a nice nap?
Sure.
I'm so glad you decided to hang around. Well, the only reason why you're alive is because the master prefers a hot lunch to cold cuts.
Staying on my toes.
I was trying to think of a diversion when I lost my footing.
This happens regardless.
The whole world started to slip away as the rope bit into my neck. When I got up, I saw that the pipe had made quite an impression on Laughing Boy.
Let's make use of the rope.
I told Laughing Boy he was bound to be out of circulation for a while, but he didn't appreciate the gag. The next room contained an old writing desk under the Der Hatchet family crest. On the desk were many items of interest.
Let's examine the gold coins.
As I reached forward, the candle lit itself, and as if by magic, a monk appeared.
Oh, that's different. Usually it has a song that's playing the whole time. Dark the flame in wine. I've never
I extinguished the
encountered
candle
this.
in a glass of the house vino, and the phantom friar gave up the ghost.
Usually it plays music and then you burn the papers and he disappears too. It's interesting that it's different sometimes. Let's pocket the golden split. Cellar, I guess.
What floor, please?
Oh, I guess I should have picked third floor.
First
Never gone
floor,
to this.
everybody out. Watch the door.
We arrived on the first floor and I got off. I could hear faint piano music coming from somewhere.
Let's try going straight down the hall.
The next room I came to had nothing in it. There was an old freezer on one side and a wall full of potions on the other.
So this is where you meet the game designer, Brian Collin. He was one of the actors.
Just as I started to examine them, I heard a scream.
Let's open the freezer.
Ignoring the fumes, I opened the freezer, only to find another prisoner of this horrible place.
Oh, far out, man. Thank you very much. You're a beautiful bird. No, that's okay. I'm cool. Man, I thought I was going to be stuck in here forever, man. There are some crazy people running around this house, man. A couple of chicks you got to watch out for. You know, today's Thursday, I gotta be at a Jefferson Airplane concert on Earth. Well, I gotta get back to my brother's house. He lives in Fresno. You wouldn't have a car by any chance. You wouldn't be going near Fresno area. Fresno's really not that far. Who put this tag on my foot?
He was, unfortunately, an obnoxious jerk who didn't have anything intelligent to offer.
You want money or a cigarette? Hey man, you don't want to be messing with those chemicals, man. They're bad for your karma.
I read the labels. Extra strength potion, instant steak pill, anti-grav tablets.
The other one I think might be useful is the instant steak.
I wasn't hungry now, but an instant steak might come in handy later.
Let's see. That's the hippie about the stench.
Hey man, like, I don't mean to be rude, you know, but like, there's something in here that smells almost worse than I do, you know?
He did have a point.
Let's give him some money and get out of there.
I gave him $5 and left.
Let's see. Leave this loony bin behind.
As I ran into the next room, I heard the scream again.
Moving forward. Don't go after the scream, it'll knock you out.
I ran through the door and found myself near the elevator. I pushed the button and waited.
There was a green door to my left and a stairway to my right.
I can't remember. Let's wait for the elevator.
The elevator arrived. It started moving almost immediately. There was something about the elevator operator that made me ill at ease.
Look at his face.
The second floor looked dark and uninviting.
Let's try this again.
The room I next entered was obviously a library of some sort. There was a door to my left, another dead ahead, but most of the action was taking place in the kitchen on my right, where someone was practicing a bizarre form of culinary preparation.
So, sometimes it does repeat things.
I couldn't put my finger on it, but there was something odd about the woman in the kitchen.
If you're hungry, get it yourself! There ain't no room service in this hotel!
I think maybe it was her 3-day beard.
Fill up and grab garlic again.
I decided I wasn't too hungry after all, and started to leave. She took it as a personal insult.
How you doing?
Oh, not good enough for you, eh?
Crap.
Question for you. Sure. You guys are
I came to in an attic. Someone or something was sitting across the attic from me.
So I have a question.
The detective decides to pay a visit to his host. Have you enjoyed our hospitality so far?
It was difficult not to listen. His voice had a strong hypnotic
I
effect.
was trying to think about, like, where can I go and get, you know, some cool photos of them in their costume? If I brought them in, would it be okay with you if I took a couple photos back here in the closet corner there? So we'll come in and play some games and.
You don't know me,
At least to get it.
but I know you.
Alright,
Each
cool.
time
That
you
was
lapse
fine,
in
thanks.
consciousness,
you're
I
welcome.
get to know you a little better. Come, sit. Drink with me. It's something I picked out close to your heart.
That was my blood he was sucking on.
Let's present the wooden box. I hadn't had that before.
I gave him the box containing the pirate's soul.
How nice. Thank you.
I knew I had failed. I was powerless to resist him.
Darn. Slightly different than my other... Oh, that was different too. Hadn't seen that one before, so... That's what's great about this game. I've seen a lot of people come play this game and then they don't play it again, but maybe it's because they don't realize that there's a lot to this game. And it'll show here in a second the clues that I did uncover and show me all the stuff that I missed. And I think this is the best score I've ever gotten. Yeah. So I missed the gangster and plenty of things over on the right-hand side there. And of course I missed Buffy McGuffin, which she usually you're able to get to her after you go to the kitchen. But yeah, well, I guess that's my ceiling there on score, and I filled up the scoreboards. Probably need to reset that. But yeah, that's the Spectre Files Deathstalker, independently made game. Restoration of an old prototype game. Definitely very cool. Obviously hard to find. There's mine in Utah. There's one out in Brookfield, Illinois at the Galloping Ghost Arcade, of course. I can't recall where the other couple of machines or few machines are, but if you do come across it, don't give up if you did like I did and didn't get too far. Keep coming back for more because there's tons in this game and it's funny. Perfect game for Halloween in October. But thanks for watching and we'll catch you on the next video.